Welcome, everyone, to
Hello.
Beauty in the Break.
Hello, that camera, not that camera, not even that camera. Hello.
Hello,
that one.
I'm over here.
My gosh,
Hello.
what's going on? Should we never break fourth walls? I want to break fourth walls.
Yeah, we can.
I grew up watching Ferris Bueller's Day Off. I should be breaking all the fourth walls.
Ooh, I feel like a deep breath is necessary.
Into the nose, out through the mouth. Work that sympathetic nervous system.
That's right. All right, we have a really great episode for you today. Tell us a little bit about what we're going to be talking about today, Cesar Cardona.
All right, so I had this conversation the other day with a friend of mine, and we were talking about the people around us when we were growing up, because she has these voices in her head, not actual, but the voices that tell you things in life, saying that she can't do something. And I was like, excuse me, have you not seen what you've done before in your life? And then I started giving my examples where somebody would tell me I can't do something, and then I'll do it, and then they'll tell me I can't do the next thing. I'm like, didn't you just see me do this here, ma'am or sir, gatekeeper? So I want to talk about gatekeepers today.
What are gatekeepers?
Let's speak more archetypally. It's the energy, could be a person, could be an obstacle, but whatever, that prevents you, that wants you to not move past into the realm that they're already in. They want to keep you down or out or away, or in some cases in from going out. Those are what gatekeepers are.
Yeah. I think of them like they're people that are in positions of power of any kind. You think like the bouncer at the door,
Yeah.
right? The temple guardians going into any kind of sacred place.
Oh.
So are they helpful? Are they purely hurtful?
Right.
What do they do in our society to keep us in order? Is that a good thing?
It's very interesting. This is kind of my area this is my wheelhouse, those sort of symbolic threshold guardians, the ones who stop you there, because they're always supposed to be so daunting. When you watch movies, you can see like I watched Shutter Island the other day, and DiCaprio gets off that boat, goes onto the island, and he pulls up to a gate, and I go, there they go.
Yeah.
There go the threshold guardians. There go the gatekeepers. In almost every movie, they're going to get to some sort of place where they have to get into, and usually two people, if not maybe three or four, are standing there stopping them.
Yeah.
And for the most part, your job is to not fight them and not run away, but just be you. Stand your ground and be there. And usually they get let pass in the movie, which I
Right.
find very interesting.
Which is the journey,
Which is the
right?
journey.
Is like, do we stay on this side here, or do we make it through? I think anybody who's ever passed through a threshold of some kind looks back at that and go, wow, I did that. Oh my God, I made it through that. I talk about that with Wild all the time. Like, I made it through that experience in my life. Oh, I have so much trust in myself that I can do something else.
Yeah. You use that as data to go forward to the
Yeah.
next journey that you have.
Yeah.
Would you consider Wild your biggest threshold passing?
Probably Wild and then my divorce are like the two biggest. My divorce probably more so, even because it felt so, I had to be so activated to do something in that. With my son, it was something that happened to me. And although I did have to make a decision at a certain point, my hands were tied. And so it was more of a passive experience. The threshold of leaving my marriage was a very activated experience. It was the easiest thing to do was to stay put where I was. Yeah.
And did you have, in those moments, any particular person, without naming them, of course, that you were surprised that were kind of like gatekeepers, kind of telling you not to participate in your need to move forward?
Yes. Maybe I expected there to be so much gatekeeping that I really didn't share this information until it was already done. Because I expected there to be a lot of gatekeeping.
Naysayers.
Yes. For certain, our couples counselor straight up told me, you even thought about what you're doing to your family, wanting to leave?
The therapist said that? The counselor? Were they a therapist or were they a counselor?
They were a therapist.
And they said that to you?
Yes, I believe that they thought that their that she thought that her job was to keep us together,
Okay.
which is not the job of a marriage counselor.
Very interesting.
Therapist,
It's a very interesting thing for
that's
a
my theory,
counselor. All right.
that she saw it as a success rate, but she very much was against me leaving the marriage and ending the marriage. And that was a toughie to process, because you go into a therapy session wanting to trust the person that you're with. Thank goodness I also had my own personal therapist who knew me for, 7 years at the time and could walk me through what was reality and what was someone else's agenda. Right.
So you had a gatekeeper. And you had, what would we call someone who is the opposite of a gatekeeper?
Gate greeter.
Gate greeter.
A gate greeter.
A gate greeter.
Welcome in.
Come on in. Oh my God, the cake is delicious here. Come on, bring it on in. Absolutely.
I had people in my life also who, after the fact, told me, I think this is what the decision you have made and have already made. I believe it's wrong. I had friends who said that. I had family members who said that. I think this is wrong. I think this is a mistake, which is just, very difficult to hear. And that's their truth. And, they had to process the news in their own way.
I'm always intrigued by the people who have convinced themselves that even though they don't spend every single moment of day in another person's life, they know what's best.
Yeah.
There's a thing called Solomon's paradox where most people can see other person's situation clearer than their own. That makes sense. Understandable. You're removed from it. And also at the same time, you're still incomplete. You're not incorrect, but you are incomplete.
Right.
So why would somebody, in my opinion, I ask this question often because just a bit of my side is I grew up with people telling me I couldn't be a musician. I couldn't buy a house when I was 20. And they found ways to try to sabotage a lot of the progressive things in my life. So I had a literal gatekeeper living in my life since I was a child. And then I grow up now and I can see it everywhere in the world. And if I may say, people have been in my life living in LA. When I've told them what I want to do, I constantly get the note of, well, that's hard, or, okay, well, we'll see about that. Someone said to me once, I said, I'm going to Las Vegas and I want to go see if there's any bars that are available for playing shows. And he said to me, oh, yeah. Well, it's not called Win Vegas, so be mindful. Oh! Las Vegas. Clever. And also, I don't hang out with that person anymore. Yeah. Like, you have anything you can say. And that's what you chose to say? Yeah. Okay. So my question is how does somebody get to that point thinking that they can tell you what you should or shouldn't be doing, where you should or shouldn't go, considering they haven't lived every single day, every moment with you? Well,
let me say what you said about the information they have is incomplete. Mm-hmm. That is fair, because for those people in my life who said, I think what you're doing is wrong and I think this is a mistake, they didn't have the whole story. And that's my responsibility. Mm-hmm. Not that it was my responsibility to tell them, but the inner workings of what had been going on in my life and internally and in my marriage, I did not share that with many people. And so how could they know? They had an outside perspective. How could they know what was going on inside me? So it was my job to sort of explain to them my reasoning, mm-hmm. and also that, hey, I haven't been kind of sharing what's been going on for me the last many years. Mm-hmm. And so let me catch you up to date. And you know what? Those good friends who said that in the beginning and they said, this is hard to say, but this is what I feel. They stuck with me anyway and learned more and then said, okay, I understand now and I'm up to date.
Oh gosh.
Over time, but it took time.
Let's go right back to the metaphor of the story and the mythology and the movies. You had a shapeshifter, the person in the beginning of the movie who is the villain, and they become the sidekick or the other protagonist. And they start helping in return. Mm-hmm. That's a good one. And also, they have so much integrity for somebody to be able to do that. Good on
stay
them.
Open and change and listen. I honor and respect those people because they would come to me and say, hey, this is hard to say, but I cannot lie to you and say I'm happy for you. I had people in my life who did tell me I'm happy for you and congratulations. But I also had people in my life that I'm not that, but I got to be real with you. I just don't understand. And it's going to take some time. And you know what? They did. They stuck with me.
They did.
So.
Wow. I'm a first principle kind of person. Let's like try to get to the root beyond the physical thing that we're looking at. There's something behind that. What I've seen for the most part is people telling you to not do something is their own fear projected onto you.
Yeah.
When I was planning to move to Los Angeles, I remember I told somebody that I was going to move here, and she was like, oh my gosh, I couldn't do that. There's no way I could do that. I don't know why you're doing that. Mm-hmm. And she had never been here before. Mm-hmm. And I remember walking away thinking like, why don't you just say good luck?
Yeah.
Go for it. And then I moved here and I saw how troublesome, how hard it was to adjust. And I realized, okay. Mm-hmm. That fear they realized about changing a whole new environment that lived within her. Mm-hmm. And so before she could even work through that fear, she blah. She just got it out all into my situation. The learning note from that is so often when someone does gatekeep, I just see their own fears and anxieties being spoken outward.
Right.
And I stop taking it personal in that way.
My therapist would say to me, well, that is that person's story, right? And so if you, in my example, if my marriage appears to be strong and healthy and positive, then a lot of other people may have what they perceive to be strong and healthy and positive relationships and marriages as well. If mine then turns and no longer is right, what does that say about their relationship? And I think it caused a lot of people, whether it's true for them or not, in most cases not, but if they saw similarities and mirroring in themselves, that's going to cause an adjustment period. Be like, whoa, I thought we were living similar parallel lives and now you're doing something else. Mm-hmm. I don't understand that. But what happened on the other side is now I see similarities with all of these other people who are leaving marriages or starting over, or getting divorced or separated or becoming a single mom or whatever it is. And now there's different connection points I have with those people as well.
Well said. Well said. You also been able to transition through that threshold and the gate you left open, and you've thrown a rope to the other side and says, if anybody wants to come along, I can help get you here.
Yeah. Let me say for a moment too, in terms of gate greeters, when I moved out, I was taking very little. I had not a lot and I was starting over, and that was okay. That was my choice. I was ready to do that. I had this group of women in a mom's group on Facebook that has just become this pillar of community for me and for everybody in that group. And shout out to the woman who started it, Leonora Pitts. She is absolutely an incredible community leader. They do this amazing thing where they surround themselves around somebody who is in need within the community and say, we got you, we're going to hold you. You got some hard thing you're going through, you're separating, you lost your job, you whatever, got evicted or whatever the hard thing is, we got you. They'll do anonymous Venmo donations. They will, what do you need to furnish your place? I had people in that group shipping me things that I needed for my apartment without any tags, just showing up at my door, measuring cups that I didn't have, a pot holder. I mean, it is so moving to humbling to be on the receiving end of something like that. And so moving to know that all of these women, no questions asked, had my back, completely activated. Yeah, it was an amazing thing. Gate greeters all around. All the gates were open.
A gaggle of gate greeters, if I may say.
Really powerful.
My goodness. Like, oh my gosh, that's fantastic. There's something about the word you said, activation, which is what is required for you to want to go through that journey. And there's something in that that makes you vital in the world, right? And I think something about that light you put out in the world, what's Jung say? The brighter the light, the longer the shadow, right? So metaphorically, the brighter you get, the more momentum you're gaining. Therefore, you might end up seeing more gatekeepers in your life. It's your activation that keeps you going through. Your job is to maintain that effrontery of, I'm doing this anyway. I appreciate you telling me I shouldn't be a musician, but I'm going to pick up this guitar and learn it. I appreciate you telling me I shouldn't buy this house. I'm going to go sign those papers sooner.
Right. Not in spite of you,
Yeah.
but because I have a grounding in myself to understand what's right and what's best for me. We also can't make the decision because that person told me no, now I'm going to do it. Yes, because to spite them, we have to still I still had to come to a grounded place and a deep understanding of who I am, what do I want, what do I need. When I'm clear on that, I'm directed forward and kind of like everybody else out of my way, you know, that laser focus that we talk about when a change is needed.
Yeah. Thank you for clarifying that, because it's not from spite. That sort of signal that you're seeing is a clue into the vitality, the authenticity of your activation going into something. The more you go through those moments, the more you're going to get people that are going to naysay or try to stop you. If everybody's agreeing with you, you're not being honest to them and or yourself. Your job is to break through those thresholds. Your job is to shed the skin like the snake does or like the moon sheds its shadow. It's your job to go through those things. And when you find more and more gatekeepers, you realize, I'm onto something here, because body emotion tends to stay in motion and misery loves company. So both of those cases are going to be exemplified and personified out right in front of you. And that lets you know you are doing the right thing.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. This might be a hard question. You ready for this? Are you sure?
I'm scared.
Your smile and your mouth said yes. Your eyes said, ask me later. Were you ever a gatekeeper to somebody?
Oh, Cesar. Oh my God, probably.
Yeah. We have to be.
Yeah, of
we have to
course.
be. It would be arrogant for us to say no.
Of
It's ego if we
course.
think we said no.
Well, yeah, because don't you think like people will come to me for advice of going through whatever, something in the industry, and suddenly I'm in a position of quote unquote power, right, to give advice. And therefore I'm going to say, you know, look out for this misstep. Don't go over here, and kind of guide them. But I'm doing it by pointing out the negative things. They don't go over here. And this is a really hard thing, and that maybe not for you or whatever. I rarely am I giving advice being like, yeah, great, you got it, go for it, come on in.
Yeah.
I wish I could say that I have been that person. I don't know that I have been though.
Well, you have to pair it with letting them know it's possible.
Sure.
And these are the obstacles that are coming up. And going back to the metaphor, that's you putting the rope out beyond the back where you came from and helping them instead of walking back there and picking them up, because they got to walk it themselves. But you're giving them the line to get there by saying, be mindful. I'll help you, but be mindful.
I wonder if my work as a postpartum doula is gate greeting in a way of saying.
I mean, it's literally a threshold.
Yeah. There's the birth doula and the postpartum doula, and both of us are, you know, walking our clients.
That's a dark joke, a dirty joke, excuse me. Continue.
We are walking our clients through this experience. It's not our experience, and I'm not giving someone the way or the right way. No, this is their own personal journey, but I'm here to say, here, this is where all of us parents are on the other side. And let me try to soften the grass underneath you and kind of lay something out for you to walk through. I don't have the answers, but I'm going to welcome you.
Yeah. Agreed.
You got yourself here.
You get this is all on you. I would totally agree to that. You, without question, are the gate greeter, and then at some capacity, you're also the Virgil to Dante in Dante's Inferno, like to Dante, where it kind of you row the boat to the next island, to the next location that they have to go through, right?
Yeah.
And we have these, again, to go back to movies, Morpheus in The Matrix and Obi-Wan Kenobi in Star Wars to Luke Skywalker. And anytime there's a wiser person that's there, they are gate greeters, right? Well, I wonder, the time that keeps coming up for me that if I was potentially a gatekeeper, I lived with somebody for a while and I started to really, really not enjoy living with them. And then I could feel these thoughts occurring in my mind that when I would see them try to progress and pick themselves up, if I had something to share that I like, oh, I see where they're going, I wouldn't want to share it. And this is a very embarrassing thing to say, but there were times I just didn't share. I was like, I know what they need for this, or I know where they're going, or I know what situation they're in, and I just didn't share it with them. I grew animosity towards this person who they have their own stuff. They weren't deserved of my animosity. And then when they would try to make efforts to change or to progress, and I could see the metaphorical hand being reached, I wouldn't share what I knew about progress and give it to them. It's very embarrassing to say. It's really, really embarrassing to say.
You didn't reach your hand out.
No, I didn't. My clothes feel weird now because I'm embarrassed. But I always want to admit that sort of stuff because it's a part of being human.
Well, yeah, and of course, and there's parts of me that on this side of parenthood also want to say to the people wanting to go down this road, oh my God, it's really hard. If you're already there, you're already there. But it's so difficult and it's such a long experience that I really want you to make sure you want this very badly.
Truly.
There's so much. Yeah, when I think about gatekeepers, the first thing that comes to mind in my experience in life has always been within the entertainment industry. When I was a kid in school, I looked up to the teacher. The teacher had all the answers. I wanted to please the teacher. I wanted to get straight A's and do it right. Be the good kid, right? There was a good and a bad, right? So it's gatekeeping all over the place, I was an actor for many years, and I felt like I needed the approval of other people, the approval from my teachers in school, and then going out into the world and auditions. Literally, there's a director, a casting director sitting in the room, or a producer maybe. They tell you yes or no, you may or may not enter this field. And unlike a lot of other industries and businesses, you are literally interviewing constantly as your job all day long, every day in an audition. And so I just sort of lived in the world where someone else is going to tell me if I'm right or if I'm wrong and whether I can or cannot go. And there is nothing else I could do. And I lived for so many years feeling I think a lot of actors feel very powerless in their field. And it really wasn't until I completely pivoted to directing and stepped on the other side of the camera that I then became a gatekeeper myself. I opened the door for myself to be able to make stuff without someone else telling me, hey, yeah, you can make this, you can be a part of this. But at the same time, I then was on the other side of the table and I was telling an actor, yes or no, you can or cannot be in my film, which isn't malice. It wasn't negative. That is how it works. But I became the gatekeeper.
Did you get to that other side and say, oh, that's what was going on?
Yeah, I got to the other side and felt, oh, it's not about what I'm looking for. I'm actually trying to fit a piece of a puzzle together. Mm-hmm. I have a role, I have a character. I kind of know how they talk and what they say and what they feel, but I don't know until this creative comes in and does what they do best, which creative is going to fit into this piece of this puzzle. And casting a whole film is the same way. All of these people have to live in the same world. We did a whole film that takes place at a wedding where we had parents and a bride and a groom and all of these relatives and best friends. And I was crafting an entire picture of what does this, the entire audience and at the wedding, all of the wedding guests, what did they look like? But also what do the families look like? And how do these two people interact together? It was no longer about my vision or what I need or mm-hmm. saying yes or no to someone because mm-hmm. they're the best at the job. It was fitting a puzzle piece, like helping it come together, carving that sculpture out of the stone, finding it within the stone.
Yeah. Well said. Good call. Finding it in the stone. That's a Michelangelo thing.
Yes.
If I can say it back to you and back out of it, it sounds like that often some of the gatekeepers in society who continue to gatekeep are the ones who are not realizing that it takes a team effort. They are gatekeeping the power and or information. I guess having the information probably is what the power is.
Yeah.
That's what they're trying to preserve or keep for themselves. Is that right?
Yeah, I would say even on the side of directing. Like, yes, I was making independent films and I then had some sort of perceived gatekeeping. But at the same time, I was pitching on larger projects. I was dealing with executives all the time. I would get so physically ill trying to pitch this project to preparing to pitch a project to an executive. And then I would get in the room and I'd be like, oh my goodness, this executive is 25. Like, what? How do they know this story better than I do? There was a breaking of the fourth wall. There was a pulling down of the curtain where you realize actually people who are in these positions of power are sometimes here through a side door, and maybe they don't actually know more than I do. And I think so often on the other side of the camera or the table or the interview, we're really just hoping the other person has something really great to offer, because I just want to say yes to that person and be like, this is it. This is the answer that I've been looking for. But the creative actually holds all the power. Is the irony.
That's it. That is totally it. I think that it takes the person to release that holding, that desire to hold on to the keys to the gate, right? In order for them to realize, oh, if we let this person in, we actually have more to preserve and protect what's inside the gate. Because as the saying always goes, if you want to go fast, you go alone. If you want to go far, you go together. Right? That's so interesting. I find myself constantly spotting the naysayers of the word. I think it's just because I grew up around it, I suppose. But you happen to get to the other side of it. And then you saw this like third option. First thing first, you did mention right or wrong. And you said it a good amount of times, and it really sticks because that's typically what a gatekeeper is saying, right? Yes or no. You're in, you're not in. Yeah, right or wrong. No good, no good. And it's such a dichotomy, but you went in there and found this third option.
It's so common to go up to the gatekeeper in whatever field this is or whatever area of life and say, yes or no, may I come in? Do I have the right answer? Do I answer the rhyme, the puzzle, or the riddle to get into the pearly gates, whatever it is, right? But the truth is that the gatekeeper doesn't even know the question. When I was acting and doing a lot of commercials, I had a commercial directing coach that said to us, everything in commercials is fear-based. The ad executives at the top, they don't know what the consumers are going to buy. They are throwing spaghetti at the wall. The directors of the commercial, they're shitting their pants because they don't know if they're going to be able to deliver to the ad agency, who also doesn't know what they want. And so you, as the actor, you get to come in so cool, so confident, and do exactly what it is you do. When you come and ease the fear, you spitball, you throw an idea, you give them a line, they love it. An improv scene as an actor is there because they didn't write a script. They're hoping you will come up with something brilliant and they'll steal it.
I wish someone told me that when I was an actor.
So then you should get a writing credit. But that is literally what's going on. And I've seen super seasoned commercial actors walk in with just that kind of cool confidence and book it because they're like, okay, well, we can trust that person. We'll trust them on set, and we don't know what we're doing, but at least we can trust that person. That is that is actually the power in the room.
Yeah. I like the note that you said about the fact that they don't know what they're doing either. I feel the same way for me, I didn't spend much time in acting. So the ones that I see that gatekeep the things are media, social media, so on and so forth. They give us all this information without giving us the full story of stuff, right? There's a lot of gatekeeping there. I feel like they're also living from that scarcity mentality, right? When we live in an abundance society right now, we have so much, but still something in us is living from a space of scarcity. And those gatekeepers are more scared of you getting in there than you are of them at some capacity.
What if you get in, you get to see that gatekeeper, they don't even know what they're doing.
They don't even
Maybe
know
they have to leave, right? When I wrote my first book and I went to go publish it, obviously I have a choice. Do I self-publish this or do I go out and try to get an agent? Do I try to get a publishing deal? And I thought about it for not even 2 hours because for me, going down the road of getting a publisher and all of that would offer me, while very prestigious, there's a lot of benefit to that. I did not want to wait for that. I couldn't wait. I was creating, and I had more to write and I had more to put out. I was seasoned enough in this world as a creative to know I'm not waiting for anybody to give me the green light. I'm just going to publish this. And luckily we live in a day and age where that's fairly straightforward. Not simple and not easy, but straightforward.
Not simple, not easy, but not simple, not easy, but it's very available. It's very available to our society now. That level of information, we don't have to wait on people anymore. The information of you being able to self-publish and get it out and learn from something like Reddit can show you how to do it. That is the gatekeeper standing in front of the door. And then someone says, yo, there's a whole bunch of windows on the side of the building. Oh, for sure. Okay, let's go. And then everybody just runs around there. Gatekeepers are still there. They're doing what they can. Yeah. We've already gone through the back area there. And whatever power that they had originally, technology has now opened it up. Even in it, because you're always going to find new gatekeepers, even in it with technology, you have gatekeepers in there, obviously. Like, the top of last year, Apple got sued because they were pushing down the independent and Android companies in their app stores. Oh. Gatekeeping of information and gatekeeping of access, right? They did it themselves. This is the beginning of the breaking down of the gatekeepers in the external world. It started with information. Do you know Frederick Douglass's autobiography, The Narrative and Life of Frederick Douglass? His slave owner's wife started teaching him how to read. And then he overheard that woman's husband, his slave owner, say to her, don't teach them how to read. Because then, if you do, they'll have information. They'll have knowledge. From there, she turned, and he wrote in his book, nothing seemed to make her more angry than seeing me with a newspaper. She seemed to think that lay the danger. I have had her rush at me with a face full of all fury and snatch from me a newspaper in a manner that fully revealed her apprehension. She gate-kept information. He still went and learned because he kind of activated this trickster mentality, but he still went and found that information. And we live in a society now that since the external gatekeepers are slowly diminishing, the question now is, what is your gatekeeper that lives in your eternal being, in your mind, in your essence? What's stopping you? What's holding you back right now?
I still think I go back to right or wrong. Is what I'm doing right or wrong? I've learned now there is no right or wrong, but is a subconscious feeling. So to the person listening who is now thinking about gatekeepers where they never did before.
Everywhere. They're seeing gargoyles and cherubs in front of churches. They're seeing everything.
I have a question for you, which is, do you have an internal gatekeeper? Is there something within you that is keeping you from doing something? But we want to hear from you. So please send us a voice note, really, so we can hear your voice. You can email us at beautyinthebreakpod@gmail.com.
My goodness.
I really want to know more.
Yeah, so do I. I love voice messages, obviously. I love the inflection of people's voices. I want to hear the tone and the thing that holds on to you. So please do that. You might even be featured on a future show.
But don't let that scare you. If you don't want your voice on the show, you can also just email us. Just send the written word. As a poet, I love the written word. Yeah, send whatever you like to share about gatekeepers and what the heck, because we didn't solve any problems today, I don't think.
The journey is the destination, isn't it? Also, we lost a ton of light, by the way.
You're completely in shadow now. So that long light, what is the phrase? The long light has a long shadow.
Shadows, yeah. Or Frankie Beverly called it the golden time of day. That's gone also.
No, yeah.
We're at the blue time of day now.
It's time to go watch Severance.
I do want time to go watch Severance and Sopranos, if we may. I do want to say one real quick thing. I want to say a shout out to the gate greeters, actually, to end it on a good note here. First thing from my personal life, shout out to my mom. She continuously greeted me at the gate and said, I have already mapped the whole thing out. You go have a blast, kid. Have fun. Thank you, Mama.
She's amazing. Go be a gate greeter. Be a great gate greeter I can't say it. Great greeter we coined the term today. We can't say it. It's a gate greeter.
Gate greeter.
Go be somebody's gate greeter.
Go be somebody's gate greeter. Find out the gatekeeper internal with you. Talk to them and work through that.
Report back to us.
And most importantly, please, as always, be kind to yourself.
Peace. If this episode spoke to you, take a moment and send it to someone else who might need it. That's the best way to spread these conversations to the people who need them the most. And if you want to keep exploring with us, make sure to follow Beauty in the Break wherever you get your podcasts. We'll see you next time.
Beauty in the Break is created and hosted by Foster Wilson and Cesar Cardona. Our executive producer is Glenn Milley. Original music by Cesar and the Clue.